Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion
My
Power
name is
Hour.
Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. I'm your host, and I'm the creator of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. And let me tell you a little bit about the show, and then I'll tell you about the station. I created the Power Hour because I wanted to feature some of the best in jazz, R&B, and soul. But I want you to know not just their music, which we're going to play every week, but I want you to hear their story and how they devote themselves to create that music that you love to hear. It's a little bit about the business of being a professional music artist. We take you backstage into the mind and daily life of the artist and the music that they produce that you love to listen to. The Power Hour broadcasts weekly on the Source TV radio network, live streaming in 4K, and I think we're the only station that broadcasts in Dolby True HD. Source is a nonprofit 501c3 radio station, and we support both jazz 24/7, and we support Black micro and minority micro businesses that are too small for Amazon or Shopify, and it's just too costly. We have the Shop Black Enterprise Showcase, which features 6-7 merchants once a month, and they get 10-15 minutes each to describe their services or their products, so that ultimately we can help them generate more wealth and the generational transfer of wealth, which really assists them with equity and equality within the community. We depend on listener contributions and artists who appear in the show for mutual support, and sponsors to cover our cost of broadcasting. So any contribution are greatly appreciated. And remember, donations are tax deductible. The Power Hour had over 125 amazing artists, well-known and becoming well-known, musicians and vocalists. Some of the artists on the Power Hour include Eric Roberson, Mesa, Brian Culbertson, Paul Brown, Raheem DeVaughn, Reagan Whiteside, Samara Joy, Alex Harris, Greg Adams, Tom Brown, Costello, Pieces of a Dream, Sheryl Crow, Billy Ocean, Annie Lennox, Dwelle Costello, Maria Antoinette, Jay Brown, Yulia, Blake Aaron, Terry Wollman, Aaron Stevenson, Mavis Von Poole, Bobby Caldwell, Walter Williams Sr., Jeff Bradshaw, Dion Parson, Tammy McCann, Jeff Beck, Eric Burden, and many others. I took the time to go through about 30 or 40 of these artists to give you the idea about the kinds of artists we have on the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. And I'm sure that you recognize many of them and you love the music they provide. So they appear on the Power Hour every week. Tonight's no exception. Tonight's special guest parents came to the United States in the early 70s from Ghana, West Africa. She studied literature and performing arts at Sarah Lawrence College and began a polyrhythmic career path as a performer, educator, and wordsmith. After many years of teaching literature and serving as a high school dean, in 2008, she stepped away to join the Off-Broadway company of Fela, a musical based on the life of Nigerian musician and activist Fela Kuti, where she played his mother. The lead singer of the funk rock band Van Davis, she had the honor of playing with Stevie Wonder as part of the UN Gala event. In 2017, she became the ethics chair of ethical culture at the Fieldston School Middle Division and the founding musical director for the Renaissance Revival Chorus, a vocal ensemble founded to bring the joy to activism and the civil rights tradition. She, along with her trombonist husband, collaborated with Natalie Merchant on her album, Keep Your Courage, in 2023. She released her debut jazz album, Where Is Love, on WJC Records in 2024. She has shared the stage with many luminaries, including Carly Simon, Angelique Kidjo, Diva Mahal, Rhiannon Giddens, Allison Russell, and others. So please welcome our special guest tonight, Abena Koomson-Davis.
Hey
Welcome, Abena.
there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. It's an
Yeah,
honor and a pleasure to have you on the show.
thank you, Mel.
Well, I like to start off each week by having my special guest tell everybody what's cooking, what's going on for the rest of 2025, and what do you have on the table for 2026?
All right, what's cooking? So, one of the things that's cooking is going to be cooking on this Sunday at the Central Jersey Jazz Festival. My quintet is going to be playing, and very excited to present some music from Where Is Love and some other tunes that we've been cooking up. And then later on in the fall, I've got some gigs in Bethel, Connecticut, and in at the Side Door over in Old Lyme. So we'll be doing some stuff there, and I'm currently working on my next album, which is conceived of a collection of African proverbs.
Oh, terrific! That's great. Let's go back a little bit in time. I want people to get to know how you became the vocalist you are today. And the people, you'd be surprised. People like to hear these stories about how artists emerged, and it's
Yeah,
not told often enough because, right, you really have an interview that has a time to allow someone to really share with them their journey to becoming a musician. So
yeah.
tell us about a little bit about the origins of your music. Was there music in your household as a child?
Mm.
What were some of the early musical influences that you can remember? Where were you born and raised? And I want to talk a little bit about that because I think that's relevant where a person is raised. It's relevant to the kind of musical styles that they adapt. For example, if you're in the Delta of Mississippi, you're going to be exposed to a different kind of music than if you live in New York City.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
so why don't you talk about some of this with everybody?
Yeah, I think one of the things that my mom and dad have told me, about my childhood is that I was singing and humming along to things even before I was speaking. So something about melody really captured my ear very early on. And I also think that, my parents are immigrants from Ghana, West Africa. And, in Ghana, I think the culture around music and rhythm is that it's always part of the conversation. We use music for our celebrations, whether they're, births and deaths and marriages and engagements, and there's always music involved. And if you went to my home in Bloomfield, Connecticut, where my parents live, there's probably music on the radio in the house right now. So I think music and rhythm were always present. Even as a kid, I was always asking my dad to play certain records on the record player because I loved dancing to certain songs. So grew up with a lot of funk, a lot of R&B, a lot of soul. My dad loved groups like the Whispers and the Temptations, and I would just play those songs over and over again and sing along. And I really loved singing along to every part. If I could be a multi-instrumentalist in my mouth, I would do it. And so, I'm singing like doo 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 boom 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 like, trying to capture every aspect of the music. So I've been doing that for a long time. And I also developed an affection for words, which I think I get from my dad. My dad is an incredible speaker, a very strong negotiator. He has a real sense of how to use words to bring people together. And I witnessed that. He's someone who is in our culture. He's an elder who's looked at to help people solve things. And he always really instilled in me that words were important. And the first birthday gift I ever remember receiving was when I was 5. I got a Macmillan dictionary, and it was a big print Macmillan dictionary. And I would just sit with the dictionary for hours looking for new words and asking daddy how they were pronounced. And I was quite precocious. So I wanted to play with words a lot. And I think ultimately that's what drew me to the kind of music that I fell in love with. It was the music where somebody was saying something interesting in an interesting rhythmic way. Um, such that like by the time I started getting to jazz in my like preteen years, I was also fascinated by people who were singing but not using words, but using sounds to do things that words could do. And so scatting became something that was, you know, really interesting to me. Um, and I started listening for that in music, not only in jazz, but you know, vocalese and all types of music. What does a sound do? That was a big prevailing question for me as a kid.
You know, it's funny when you talk about words and you use the word precocious. And that word always has stuck in my mind because I remember in the fourth grade, my mother and I went to a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher told my mother, "Your son is very bright, but he's obnoxious." And my mother said, "That's not correct. He's precocious. You should understand the difference."
Go ahead, Rob. You know, it's funny. What is it about fourth grade? So when I was in fourth grade, I was very energetic. My mind was, you know, flying a mile a minute. And our classroom teacher was trying to figure out how to manage me and also manage the rest of the class. So someone in my school, and I went to a school called Sand Everywhere in Hartford, Connecticut, which was a school that was built into the apartment complex that we were living in, the
Wow, that's cool.
South Arsenal neighborhood development. I think it was the city's attempt to create some kind of stable community within people who were living at a certain economic status. And, you know, my parents as immigrants who had just gotten here were really working their way through and toward this American dream. So that was where we lived and that was our school. And I was lucky to have a lot of Black educators who had come right out of the civil rights movement. So this is the, you know, late 70s, early 80s when I'm going to school. And they were forthright about their desire for us as young Black children to succeed, especially in arenas of literacy. So I had teachers who really saw me, but also recognized that I had perhaps more energy than some of my peers. So they decided that during the reading portion, where I was a particular terror, that I would go to a tiny classroom with a man named Mr. Steele. And what I remember most about him was his huge afro and big gray streak. And Mr. Steele taught me how to play the recorder. And so that's how I spent reading time, because they're like, we're not worried about her reading. She's over reading at this point. Let's find something engaging for her to do. And so twice a week I would go and I would practice recorder with Mr. Steele. And once a week I would go to the library with Miss Green, who I thought was the most beautiful person on earth. She had this gorgeous coif of gray hair, the best earrings ever, the most sophisticated blouses, just fashion, 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 fashion. I learned later that she was a Delta, so she definitely was coming with her sorority energy and looking beautiful every day. And she would say, go pick a book. And I would go pick a book and we would sit and we would read and read and read and read. So I'm getting this reading education one-on-one. I'm getting this music education one-on-one. And I think those are the tendrils that started to form my sense of what was important in the world and how I wanted to spend my time. Looking back, it's easy to see that that's what was happening. At the time, it was just sort of, well, they don't want me in class and they're sending me somewhere else. But I'm really grateful that folks, that educators saw in me someone that could handle that and was interested in it and would flourish in it. So I think, you know, good enough at the recorder that we started working on clarinet. So clarinet was my first, like.
First of all, I played clarinet in middle school, junior high school. Yeah. But you know, my teachers, if I was talking too much in class, they'd punish me and send me to the library. Little did they know that I couldn't wait to go.
Exactly. And interestingly enough, in January, I had a dream. I hadn't played clarinet since early high school. And I had a dream that I was playing clarinet and that there were these like billowing, you'll notice that pink is a color I really like. There were these billowing pink fabrics all around me. And I was just a playing and I was so excited. And I woke up and I said, Steve, I think I have to buy a clarinet. Like, I think I have to buy a real one and start playing again. And at the time, I'd been doing some performances with Allison Russell. And Allison, of course, is a brilliant multi-instrumentalist. And clarinet happens to be one of her instruments. And so I told Allison, I was like, I think I have to buy a clarinet. And she said, yes, you do. And so I did my research. I went on the web and I was finding things. And I bought a clarinet and I really love it. I've just been getting reacquainted with it and playing little songs. I think Abena's Bop is technically the first song that I ever played on my clarinet. And just figuring it out and letting the practice inform me as just an ever-changing musician. And
one of the things, Abena, that you said, I'm not completely clear on. You did said eventually you found jazz.
yeah.
Why jazz? If your family was multi-genre and you listened to soul and R&B and the Whispers, why jazz? What was the attraction to you?
Look, I think life is an encounter. And I think sometimes things in life find you and meet you because you happen to be walking along the road and you're like,
But was it the rhythmic dissonance?
I think that in my body and in my spirit, genre is not a thing. Being moved is a thing. Hearing words that interest me is a thing. The other things come later. And so the same love that I have for, Stevie Wonder's Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants, and Ella sings the music of Cole Porter, and Fela Kuti's ODOO. And recently in my car, I just really, really felt like listening to Foray's Requiem. It's just about what moves me and pulls against what I'm thinking and makes me curious. And so
go ahead.
it's not even about like all jazz or all R&B or all soul. It's particular things that like reach into my spirit and start tugging on me. And so that happened when I heard the voice of Ella Fitzgerald. That happened when I heard the voice of Carmen McRae. That happened when I heard the voice of Andy Bay and Sarah Vaughan. And so I just continued to follow them.
Got it. Do you know Sherry Winton, the flautist?
I do not.
Sherry Winston. Well, she was on the show last week, and she did a duet with you just mentioned him. Oh my God. Stevie Wonder.
Oh, Stevie Wonder. Okay.
She did a duet with Stevie. He played harmonica and she played her flute. It was really terrific.
Oh, it's lovely.
I know you mentioned Stevie Wonder too. And I know you also left after high school. You went to Sarah Lawrence College. Why don't you tell us briefly about that?
Yeah.
Is music involved at all?
Well, we actually have to pause and go back to high school because there's a really important relationship that has been a part of my artistic development, and it really began in junior high and high school. So in middle school, I met my best friend. Her name's Deborah Goff. She has a company called Scapegoat Garden, which is a creative engine, and she's a choreographer and a curator. And we began our artistic careers together. First, it started with Barbie dolls and theatrical productions. Then it moved on to Casio keyboards and writing original songs. Then it moved on to voguing and performing at the talent show in high school. We both were a part of the of our high school, Bloomfield High School. Shout out BHS, go Warhawks. We both were a part of the high school's show choir. And so show choir was a place that brought all of our interests together. Our love for dance, our love for theater, our love for jazz. It was all in the mix. And it's really where I began using my voice. Because I hadn't really as much, I was a sing-along kid, right? I wasn't out performing with my voice, but I was singing along to everything on the radio all the time. But jazz choir was the place where I started to stand out as someone who really could capture the tunes quickly, capture the harmony quickly. I was an alto and I loved getting in on those inner voices, and Deb was too, and we shared that together, and we would practice our parts for hours. And so developing as an artist in a relationship, in relationship to others, really transformed the art for me, so that it was not just about, it wasn't about just the technical aspect. It was also about the community that was building. And so one of the things that was super cool about that is you had your jazz choir community. And then I was also in jazz band playing trombone. My dear friend, Jimmy Green, tenor saxophonist and longtime educator, was also in that band. And so, you know, you're developing a community, a family. And it was inside of that family that I was first asked to stand in front of the band. And the way that that happened was, we would get our sheet music, and before we would even pick up our instruments, oftentimes our band leader, TL, he would have us, Tom Lazat, he would have us sing through our parts before we would play through our parts. So you know where the rhythms are. Do you know how your part matches up with everybody else's part? So we're sitting in the band going do 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 ba do ba da 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 da, you know. And he must have heard something back there that made him think that I could be in front of the band and not just the fourth trombone.
That's great.
It was amazing. And so we got our sheet music one day, and my part was missing. So I was like, "Where's my part?" And I had, there was a feeling in the room that I didn't recognize. I was like, something is up. And he says, "Oh, your part's up here on my music stand." So I walk up to his music stand, and it's Diane Shore's Deedles Blues, and it says vocals. And I was like, what? I'm not ready for this.
Yes, you are.
You know, I was convinced that I wasn't, but he, you know, being the great educator that he was, saw that if he gave me a little bit of a push, I could make it to my edge and maybe take a leap. And I did. It was terrifying. I lost my voice the night before the performance. It was, you know, it was a whole humdrum. And I was so disappointed in myself and thought that I didn't do a great job. And TL said to me, "I wish you could hear and see what I hear and see. And I think that someday you will." And you know, that just convinced me to keep going.
Just to interrupt you. When I found you through a mutual friend in Connecticut who told me, sent me some of your songs she had recorded on her cell phone, and she said, "You got to have this person on your show." And I listened to it, and I was blown away. And you know, I had the exact same feeling that you were talking about when I heard you sing. It was like revelatory. So that's how I got. Everybody wants to know. That's why I got to Abena, and I'm so glad that you're on the show. I want to play your first song for everybody tonight, called "Softly as the Morning Sunrise." Why don't you tell people the backstory a little bit, just for a minute or two, on how this song came about? Because in this song, to me, you have a true Ella Fitzgerald delivery. That's just my opinion. So go ahead.
I appreciate you invoking Ella. That means a lot to me. So I fell in love with this song. I actually fell in love with this song through Diane Reeves initially. That was sort of one of the first ways that I encountered it. But I wanted to do it because it has words that are interesting to me. And on this recording, it starts with Nat Reeves' bass, and it feels like you're opening a door slowly into a room and starting to peer around and see what you can see. And that feeling, I think, comes through in our recording. But that's one of the things I love about the song, is that the words and the music kind of unfold and reveal themselves with this message that basically says, you know, how tender and also how terrifying love is.
Who's on the recording with you?
Yeah, so on the recording, we have Nat Reeves on bass, we have Rick Germanson on piano, Willie Jones III on drums, and my own dear heart, Steve Davis, Stevie D, on trombone.
Wonderful. Okay, let's hear Abena's Softly as the Morning Sunrise.
Softly as in a morning sunrise, the light of love comes stealing into a newborn day, flaming with all the glow of sunrise. A burning kiss is sealing a vow that all betray. For the passions that thrill love and lead you high to heaven are the passions that kill love and let it fall to hell. So ends each story softly as in an evening sunset. The light that gave you glory will take it all away. So but do you do but do you do 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 you do do but do you do 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 do. So do 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 we do 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 softly as it fades away. And lead you high to heaven are the passions that kill love and let it fall to hell. So end these stories softly as in an evening sunset. The light that gave you glory will take it all away. You know you'll take it all away. It's gonna take it all away. It's gonna take it all
Well, that was incredibly beautiful. Here's some comments from Don Lewiston. Oh my God, Ella Carmen, you were the bomb. Here.
Very sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
Carla Turfer, your voice soars. Victor McClanahan, strut that scat.
Get that scat. Oh, that's great. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it.
Andy Rakova. Whoa, who did the arrangement? This is excellent.
Yeah, great question. Steve Davis. Yeah, so Stevie D is an incredible, my husband and trombone player, and he is an incredible arranger. He has such a wonderful sense of shape. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Bryce Adams, this is so beautiful.
Thank you.
You've got a lot of people listening in. Dennis Gordon, sweet.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Carol Jameson, after the bass lead, you blast off. Excellent.
There you go. Well, you know, when you got a bass like that, you got a good foundation.
You're making a lot of new fans tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate y'all.
Well, let's get back to telling people a little bit more about you.
Sure.
When did you know that being a vocalist was your calling? How did you know? When was that aha moment?
Yeah. I think maybe it's cyclical. I think it's a moment that I come to over and over again. And perhaps, you know, in my elementary years, when I would sing and it would get a reaction from my parents, or it would cause something to stir inside of me, I was like, oh, I know this needs to be something that's part of my life. And even in high school, when I did, you know, those talent shows, they were not impressive, but I, inside of myself, was impressed with how good it made me feel and how much like home it made me feel. It was like I could be anywhere in the world, and if I could sing, I could be comfortable.
That's great.
So I think that was the realization. The thing about being a vocalist came way, way, way later, when it was like, oh, I could get paid for this too. But I think really it was just like, oh, this makes me feel like home, so I'm going to do this as much as I can. And there are people who want to do things too, so let's do it all together. And I think I didn't call myself a singer until about halfway through college, about halfway through Sarah Lawrence. Because at Sarah Lawrence, I'm studying literature. I'm playing my euphonium. I'm learning to, you know, play classical music. And of course, I was taking voice. But there was a moment, I was taking a class called Song Class with Dave McCree, and also later with Shirley Kaplan. And in this class, you would bring a song, you would rehearse it with the pianist, and then you would perform the song for a group of people and they would critique you. And I loved it. I loved to hear what people heard and what their reactions were. It taught me something about communicating effectively. They weren't changing the way that I was thinking about it. I was understanding more what I was actually communicating. And I fell in love with that format. And eventually Shirley Kaplan said, I want to direct you in a cabaret of your own songs.
Oh, terrific. Yeah.
And so that was my senior project at Sarah Lawrence.
When would you say was your first professional moment, either as a performer or recording artist? When was that? How would you describe that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I really think it depends on what we think about in terms of the bounds of being professional. The first time I got in front of an audience with a singing group, I was in high school, and we were auditioning for we were doing the regional auditions for Amateur Night at the Apollo. So this was like the Hartford regional auditions, and my group and I got booed off the stage.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
we were not sufficient.
Oh, wow.
And you know what? The fact that it didn't bother me told me something. I was like, okay, well, they didn't like it, and I guess we could have had our stuff together better. Next. And I just kept
That's great. That's terrific.
pursuing. Here's the thing to know about me. I'm not afraid of people. I'm afraid of heights. I'm a little afraid of certain kinds of seafood, but I'm not afraid of people. You can put me in front of anybody. I'll be okay. Because I know how to get to home very quickly, and singing does that. So even singing in front of a bunch of people who booed us off the stage, I was like, oh, well, guess we didn't have what they needed.
My mother told me once, don't care if people say bad things about you. If they're saying something, that's what's important.
There's that. Well, they had a lot to say then, and arms in the air and everything. But yeah, then when I got to Sarah Lawrence and I did this cabaret of my own songs, I was like, oh, okay, this also has other dimensions. And I was playing with folks on campus that I really loved, and we were doing all kinds of things together. And I was going in and out of New York City the whole time I was at Sarah Lawrence. So I was going to Augie's, and I was listening to jam sessions, and I was showing up on Monday nights with John Farnsworth, and taking my little paper moon or whatever it was I had in my pocket. And, I would just sort of like sing and get through it, and then be like, okay, I'll try it again next time.
That's great. That's great. I want to keep us moving because I don't want to run out of time. This is such a great. I'm really enjoying this so much. You collaborated with Natalie Merchant on an album in 2023.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that project? And did that influence you in any way? Because the following year you came out with your first LP. So talk about Natalie Merchant.
Yeah, so I met Natalie in 2018 in a performance with the Resistance Revival Chorus. She asked us to join her for a performance up in Hudson Valley that was helping people to get out the vote. And we sang Stevie Wonder's Heaven Help Us All. And Natalie and I just had an instant connection. We liked singing together. And so a couple years later, the pandemic, of course, hit. And Natalie was asked to do a program for Montefiore Einstein, who was celebrating their workers. And several of her songs have, just the energy of gratitude. And so she asked me if I would join her for that performance. And so we sang in Radio City Music Hall with no people, just cameras and the band, and we couldn't touch each other or hug or anything. It was a really devastating time for a lot of us. But that's when our connection really started to develop. And she said to me at the end of that, we have to sing together. We have to record something together. And when people say these things, you're like, yeah, okay, sure. Natalie Merchant is not an unbusy person. So I didn't expect that it was something that was going to happen so soon. But the following year, she called and said, I'm making an album. I would love for us to sing a couple of duets. And by the way, doesn't your husband play a horn? And doesn't he arrange for horns? And so I said, yes. And so Steve had the opportunity to arrange horns for the album. And I had the opportunity to sing. And we went up, and we were still in the panties. So it was just a few of us in the studio recording. And it was a delight. Stephen got to bring his, childhood friends from Binghamton, New York, who are also very accomplished musicians, to play. And she and I really developed a rapport with each other. And then later, I had the opportunity to do the West Coast tour of Keep Your Courage with her, which was phenomenal.
Terrific.
Yeah. And in terms of how it informed my own work, I mean, everything gets in there. And I certainly learned a lot. Watching Natalie move through the process of making a record. But I would say that most of the inertia behind making this record and most of what informed me was actually Steve's experience, because he's been a leader on over 20 albums. He's played on hundreds and hundreds of albums himself, and he knows how to get into a studio and do the work. And I really was taking a lot of cues from him and learning what it means to both help people feel prepared so that they know what to do, but also free to be themselves and be expressive. So I would say if there's anything that sort of served as that push for me to make that record, it was really Steve. And it was also our desire to play together because we just love it. We just love it.
That's wonderful. We have to move on. I have so many questions I want to ask you, but let's play another one of your songs. I want people to hear your music. So let's play Easy, and then after we play it, you can tell us a little bit of the backstory to Easy, okay?
Sounds good.
Don't hurry the day, find your way, a step at a time, heart aligned, easy come, easy go, easy stay, easy flow. Control. Find the things in life that soothe your soul. Mama told you that the road would be rough, but give you what you need to handle your stuff. Easy sun, easy moon, easy rain, easy soft, easy sun, easy moon, easy rain, easy
That's another just great song. You got some of your friends are checking in with you. Magic Smith,
Oh, hey.
another comment. John Keniston, great song. Love the horn solo.
Yeah, that's Josh Bruno on trumpet. Really, really amazing talent. And also just, family. I mean, this whole album is just our family. And literally, my stepson Tony Davis was playing guitar and sounds incredible. And that's Mike DeRubo on alto saxophone, and of course Stevie and the rest of the rhythm section. Oh,
Here's
Lloyd Davis.
Look who's checking in. Abena, you are just amazing. You always have been. Remember me, Lloyd Davis.
Of
I was your
course,
stage manager for Fela when we went to Nigeria.
that's right. Lots of love, Lloyd. Good to see you.
Zoe Murray, delightful. Barry Gentry, who's the jazzy guitarist? Yeah,
My stepson Tony Davis. He actually just released an album called Jessamine. So definitely check him out.
terrific. Here's more. Richie Diagardo. This is wonderful. Where can I get a copy?
Yeah, we're on all the platforms. So and I think CDs are still available these days. I know it's crazy.
Okay. Eloise Brown, I totally love your voice.
Thank you.
Getting lots of comments from people tonight. That's
It's
really nice.
so warm. It's so warm and fuzzy in here.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. Okay, let's talk a little bit more. Tell everybody a little bit about the backstory to the song we just played, "Easy."
Yeah. So when Steve and I first started dating, I really just love his music. And I would find myself singing along to some of his compositions. And this is one of the first compositions of his that I heard. And at some point I asked, hey, would you be cool if I wrote words to this? Because I really just love this song. And so I started writing words to it. And when we decided, hey, it's time to make an album, this was one of the first things we conceived being on the album. And what I wanted to do was be in conversation with the song. So the song obviously has its melody. But rather than singing the melody twice through, I wanted to do a counter melody that would talk to the song in some ways. And it really is about this idea of not hurrying through everything, not rushing all the way through, and also like using what you have to get where you need to go. So I love that about it.
Terrific. I want to talk briefly. We're really running out of time quickly here.
Yeah.
Briefly talk about you as a songwriter.
Yeah.
How do you construct a song? Every artist does it differently.
Yeah.
Is there a preferred method, or how do you do it?
Yeah, when you say every artist does it differently, I'm every artist. I do it differently all the time. Sometimes I start with my loop station and I start laying down layers of rhythms and then I sing over those rhythms. The loop station allows me to build my voice over and over. Sometimes I'll hear a melody in my head and I'll just play with the melody until words come. Sometimes it starts with the words and then I actually start to develop a melody that mimics the rhythm of the words. So as someone who is a wordsmith, a poet, a writer, it can sometimes start with the language, but as someone who's a musician, it can sometimes start with the melody or even harmonies. Right now, in thinking about this song, the album that I'm working on next, all I've been doing is walking around and singing lines into my phone and just cataloging them and putting them away. And at some point, I'm going to take them all, write them out sheet music wise, and then see which things fit together. So it's going to be more of an assemblage, so I do things all kinds of ways, whatever makes the melody come out.
I assume you read sheet music.
I do read sheet music.
And do you do the scoring and charting for your
Not all the time. It is pretty intensive. And so Steve's been an incredible support in that way. He's much faster at it than I am. But I've also recently become acquainted with MuseScore and started taking some of my older compositions and dropping them into MuseScore, which has definitely helped speed the process along.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, just quickly, when you're completing a song, and you laid it down in the studio, are you involved in post-production?
Yeah, I mean, I like to do a lot of listening, but I also like to leave it to the expertise. My feeling is once you have captured my voice authentically, then there's not much that you need to do to mess with it. And once you've captured the instruments authentically, then there's not, I mean, not to say that there's not a lot of work that goes into it, but that expertise is really with the engineers and the mixers, as opposed to being with me. When I hear something that doesn't feel authentic or doesn't feel like it's communicating what I think is intended or what captures the performance, sure, I'll say something and we'll go back and we'll, make adjustments. But mostly I'm just like, do your magic and let me hear it. And if it makes sense, then let's keep moving.
Well, I wanted to spend some time talking about Ella and Broadway, but we're running down time. So I really want to play your third song of the evening.
Yeah.
And it's That's All. So why don't you tell people a little bit about That's All, and then we'll play it for everybody.
Yeah, this was probably one of the first songs that I played performing with Steve. Like once we decided that we loved to play together, then we would get little gigs and just, try things out. And I think this was one of the first ones we ever tried out. And I think that it has the sentiment of our relationship in it. And I also think that bossa feeling is, it's a vibe, and I think we need more of that sort of easeful feeling around us right now. So, yeah.
So let's play That's All, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
I can only give you love that lasts forever, and the promise to be near each time you call, and the only heart I own for you and you alone. That's all. That's all. I can only give you country walks in springtime, and a hand to hold when leaves begin to fall, and a love whose burning light can warm the winter night. That's all. That's all. There are those, I am sure, who have told you they would give you the world for a toy. All I have are these arms to enfold you, and a lifetime can never destroy. If you're wondering what I'm asking in return, dear, you'll be pleased to know that my demands are small. Say it's me that you adore, for now and evermore. That's all. That's all.
I mean, this is really terrific. I mean, I love every song. I hear you have a whole bunch more comments. Let's see. Here's one. I love this song. Is this a Nat King Cole song from the early 50s?
Probably. I've heard a lot of versions of it, so highly likely.
Yeah, if I recall, he did this first. I think this guy is right.
Yeah.
Or this woman's right, Tanya.
I think this person's right.
Here's your friend, Phyllis.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Here's your another Magic Smith. Fantastic. Nathan Davison, this has been a fantastic evening. Thank you, Abena and Mel.
Oh, thank you.
Doug Cochran, great guitar lead.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Francine Saunders, this is what jazz needs more of, not all this smooth stuff.
Swinging feels good. So there's that.
Yeah, definitely. That's right. Your voice is so beautiful, Abena.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Clifford, I hope this is not that so. I want more.
Somebody's got jokes. I love it.
Yep. People are just really enjoying this tonight.
Oh, thanks for
sharing. Oh my God, we're out of time.
Yeah.
So here's what we'll do. Okay. I'm gonna have to have you come back another time if you don't mind.
Sounds great. I would love to. This has been wonderful.
Because there's so much more to talk about and so much more music to bring to people. So why don't you tell everybody how they can become a fan? Tell them about your website or your social media, and tell them where they can find your music.
Yeah. So the music. So Where Is Love, the album, released on all platforms by WJ3 Records. And as far as staying in touch, Instagram is a great place. I'm Abena KD, so my first name and the first initials of my last name. Abena KD on Instagram. My website is abenakoomson-davis.com. And so those are probably the best ways to stay in touch.
Terrific. Let's close out the evening with Abena's Bop. Why don't you say a few words about that? Then we'll play the last song of the evening.
Yeah, so as we were putting together the album, Stevie D said, you gotta, write something specifically for this album. Because we'd done our collaborations, Easy and Perseverance, but he's like, you gotta write your own song for the album. So I went back into rhythm changes and decided that I was gonna write a bop. So this is Abena's Bop. And I sing the bop and Stevie plays the bop with me. It's fun.
Wonderful. And here's Abena's Abena's Bop. No, that was great. Yeah, I was putting up some comments while the music was on so we can get through a few of them. Who's on keys?
Yeah, that is Rick Germanson.
Okay. And here's another comment. Great bop improv. Love the intricate melodies, angular phrases, and complex chord structures. This is why I love jazz.
Me too.
Well, Abena, this has been a wonderful evening. I can't thank you enough.
With you.
We never got to your Broadway career, mid-career, and I want to talk about this next time. Well, I want to definitely have you back on the show.
Sounds
so
great.
we'll arrange this, and you can bring more of your music and more of your story to our listeners.
I would love to. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you tonight. It's made my night. It's been
Wonderful.
great. Yeah.
Well, you've made a lot of people's nights tonight, so thank you very much. Thanks, Steve. Say hello for me, and
All righty.
and if you want to hang around backstage, we can chat a little bit afterwards if you have the time.
Sounds good. Sure do. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Good night. Well, that was the wonderful Abena Koomsom-Davis, and we're going to definitely have her back again. Next week, we have another great group of artists. It's called Back to Basics. These guys are incredible and have incredible histories behind their music. So everybody, I want to make sure you all come back again next week for another great edition of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. I'm Mel Albin, your host, and I hope you've enjoyed the evening as much as I have. Everybody have a great, great evening. Bye-bye. I'm Mel Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion Power
My name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.